A mysterious fire broke out in the mansion. I stumbled and fell. And suddenly, my eyes, blind for 5 years, could see again. Amid the chaos, I saw a woman who bore an uncanny resemblance to me. She was elegant and noble, possessing an extraordinary bearing. The villagers who came to help extinguish the fire called her Lady Ho. Only then did I realize that the mansion engulfed in flames was the ornate Jean and Marquis' residence. Though we bore a striking resemblance, my husband Zhao Yuanshan was merely a lowly deputy general, and we lived in nothing more than a modest 3-courtyard residence. I possessed striking beauty, but after losing my sight, I scarcely ventured outside, fearing I might bring misfortune upon Zhao Yuanshan. How could I possibly be here in the Jean and Marquis' residence now? A shrill female voice rang out, "That ill-omened slut is gone. Could she have escaped? Search! Search her immediately. Bring her back alive or dead." Dazed, I scanned my surroundings, frantically seeking an escape route. But guards were searching everywhere, there was no way out. Seeing them closing in, I closed my eyes and fainted. I was discovered quickly. "Madam." After the room flooded, she ran out and seemed to hit the rockery, fainting. I heard the report. The Jean and Marquis' wife said coldly, "Who knows if she's faking it? Just in case. Have Dr. Lin examine her." "Yes, madam." My heart sank. Faking unconsciousness while fully aware might fool ordinary people, but not a physician. If they discovered my deception, how would they treat me? If I died at their hands, would Yuanshan ever know? Gritting my teeth, I seized an inattentive moment and slammed my Fengqi acupoint hard against the sharp edge of the porcelain pillow. In an instant, I truly lost consciousness. When I awoke, all was silent. Opening my eyes, I found myself in a simple, comfortable room. The furnishings were neither new nor old, with soft cloth wrapped around the sharp edges of tables and chairs. Everything felt so familiar that I closed my eyes again and reached out to touch. There was no mistake, this was my own room. After marrying Zhao Yuanshan 5 years ago, I had moved in here. When I first lost my sight, I struggled to adjust, bumping into things and hurting myself daily. Yuanshan, heartbroken by my struggles, personally wrapped soft cloth around every sharp edge in the room, and even throughout the courtyard, where I frequently moved about. I was back, from the Jean and Marquis' residence, back to my own home. How did I return? Did Yuanshan bring me back? Doubts filled my mind. Just then, the door opened. A maid in her 20s entered, carrying a basin of water. Her features had softened considerably compared to 5 years ago, but I recognized her instantly. My personal maid, Swear. Seeing me rise, Swear gasped and rushed forward. "Madam, how could you get up on your own? If you'd hurt yourself again, I'd have to atone with my life." Her tone was heartfelt. Earlier, the cook dozed off while simmering soup and started a fire that burned the woodpile in the backyard. "You must have been frightened, madam. Dr. Lin from East Street has examined you, prescribed medicine, and instructed you to rest well. Master is currently seeing him off in the front hall." Dr. Lin? Was this the Dr. Lin who regularly attended to me, or the Dr. Lin mentioned by the Marquis of Jinan's wife? Swear. How did I? Of course I trusted my personal maid, but before I could finish the thought, I saw the mockery and disgust etched across her face. Her heartfelt voice had been an act. The scorn and loathing were her true feelings. A chill ran through me. Swear had betrayed me. My appearance at the Jean and Marquis' residence today was likely connected to her. Therefore, what I witnessed at the Jean and Marquis' residence after the fire broke out, and the fact that my eyesight had been restored, must not be revealed to her. So I changed my words. Swear. Why couldn't I find you earlier? Being blind, I was utterly terrified when I heard people shouting about the fire. Swear replied, "Madam, I'm sorry. It was my negligence. When the fire started, I was so focused on putting it out to keep you safe that I forgot how frightened and anxious you'd be. Madam, please punish me." I smiled. "We grew up together. You didn't do this on purpose. I couldn't bear to punish you." Swear smiled back. "Madam, you treat me so kindly." Suddenly, she held her breath and leaned close to examine my face. I pretended not to notice. "Madam, has your vision improved? I just saw your eyes move. My heart jolted. I forced a bitter smile. Dr. Lin has treated my eyes for 5 years. If they could be healed, they surely would have been long ago. Swear, you needn't say such things to comfort me. I've long accepted my fate. This servant merely hopes the mistress will recover soon. If the mistress could see, she wouldn't have fainted from that fall today. The probing and suspicion on Swear's face faded considerably. Just then, the door creaked open. Swear turned her head and announced in a clear voice, "Master, you're back." The mistress just regained consciousness. It was my husband, Zhao Yuanshan, returning. The tension that had gripped my heart ever since I first saw that woman at the Jinan Marquis' residence finally began to ease. My husband, Zhao Yuanshan, and I were childhood sweethearts. I was blessed with striking beauty from childhood. The Zhao family's status was low, and Zhao Yuanshan feared he wouldn't be able to protect me after marriage. So at 15, he enlisted and went to the border. 5 years later, when he returned to the capital, he had risen from a common soldier to a deputy general. Though only a deputy general, he served under the third prince at the time. The year after his return, the third prince ascended the throne. Overnight, Zhao Yuanshan became a man of immense influence in the capital. It was widely said that the position of Minister of War had been reserved for him by the new emperor. Yet he turned away every overture of friendship, whether from aristocratic families or imperial relatives. Instead, he urgently sought out a matchmaker in the capital and arranged our marriage. This act incurred the wrath of Prince Luo. When the prince sent men to punish Zhao Yuanshan, we happened to be offering incense at the temple of the matchmaker. To shield Zhao Yuanshan, I was poisoned and blinded. After I lost my sight, Zhao Yuanshan held me and wept bitterly. Then, outside the palace gates, he knelt 3 times and prostrated himself 9 times, pleading with His Majesty to severely punish Prince Luo. Prince Luo and His Majesty were brothers born of the same mother. Though they harbored resentment during the succession struggle, they remained blood kin. His Majesty wished to spare Prince Luo. Zhao Yuanshan refused, stubbornly insisting Prince Luo must pay the price. Ultimately, His Majesty transferred the Prince of Lu's fiefdom from the prosperous Shu prefecture to the lesser Chui prefecture, setting an example to deter others. Zhao Yuanshan thus lost the emperor's favor and made no further advancement in his position as deputy general. I was filled with guilt, but Zhao Yuanshan smiled and said it was nothing. He declared that power, prestige, and wealth meant nothing to him compared to me. We were married. After our wedding, Zhao Yuanshan treated me with great kindness. Unwilling to leave the house due to my blindness, he stayed home to keep me company whenever he wasn't on duty. The year after our marriage, my father and younger brother led a caravan north to trade furs. They were ambushed by bandits and lost their lives. Zhao Yuanshan took charge of their funeral arrangements for me. With no close relatives left in this world, Zhao Yuanshan feared I might suffer injustice. He took even greater care of me personally, attending to my every need with utmost devotion. 3 days ago, a notorious bandit emerged in the capital. Zhao Yuanshan was busy pursuing the criminal and couldn't return home. I suspect the Jinan Marquis' men took advantage of his absence to abduct me. Yun Xian, how are you feeling? Zhao Yuanshan clasped my hand, his face etched with concern and self-reproach. I'm sorry. Had I not been away for so many days, you wouldn't have endured this terror. He waved to Swayer. She curtsied and stepped out. Yuanshan. I'm fine, I replied with a smile. Without this unexpected turn, I wouldn't have found such a blessing in misfortune. What blessing in misfortune? Zhao Yuanshan looked puzzled. Just as I was about to share the joyful news of my restored sight, my gaze suddenly caught a glimpse of a pair of blue-gray shoes peeking through the gap beneath the door curtain. 2 red beads were sewn onto the toe, the very pair I'd gifted Swayer during this year's Lantern Festival. She was watching me and my husband from beyond the curtain. I swallowed the words on my lips and changed course. My husband has been occupied with official duties, away from home for days. Now that a fire has broken out in the mansion, he's returned immediately to see me. How could this not be a blessing in disguise? Zhao Yuanshan chuckled. If you missed me, you could have sent word through the servants to the magistrate's office. Yun Xian, I wish for you a life free of troubles and worries. Swayer was undoubtedly a spy for the Marquis of Jinan's household. I needed to send her away before I could tell Zhao Yuanshan what had happened. But I had no idea how many within the manor had been bought off by the Jinan Marquis' household. I couldn't dismiss her without cause, that would alert the snake. So before Swayer, I pretended to remain blind. feigned continued dependence and trust in her. The white steed trudged on with difficulty. 5 days later, I finally found an opportunity to send Swear away. That day marked the 10th anniversary of Swear's mother's passing. Her elder brother came to me. He planned to take his family to Suzhou to seek their fortune. Once they left, it would be difficult for Swear to see them again. Thus, he requested permission for Swear to return home for a few days. I agreed. After Swear left, Luer attended to me personally. Unlike Swear, Luer had been a glutton since childhood. Her weaknesses were glaringly obvious, making it far easier to discreetly distract her than it had been with Swear. I discreetly squeezed geranium juice into the leftover pastry. Luer, tell the master later that this shop's taro cake is rather dry. Don't buy it again next time. Geranium is poisonous, accidental ingestion causes diarrhea. If taro cake is poorly prepared, eating it can also cause diarrhea. If Luer falls ill from the cake, no one will suspect anything. Yes, madam. Luer's gaze lingered on the plate of cakes as she swallowed hard. Where is the master? I asked. Officials from the magistrate's office have arrived. The master is discussing matters in the front hall. Luer replied, carrying the plate of cakes. I leaned back on the bed, closing my eyes to rest. Go about your business. I'll take a short nap. When master is done, remember to wake me. Yes, ma'am. Luer responded cheerfully, happily closing the door behind her. She sat on the stone steps outside and began eating the cakes. Ever since I lost my sight, I've disliked seeing people. Therefore, few servants ever attended to me in my courtyard. With Luer present, the other servants wouldn't come near. I leaned against the bed frame, waiting patiently. After a stick of incense burned, I heard Luer's muffled groan, followed by the sound of stumbling, hurried footsteps. I curved my lips slightly, rose, and pushed open the door. Sure enough, no one was outside. The sky hung heavy and overcast, the wind unable to dispel the oppressive gloom bearing down on me. I glanced up at the dark clouds gathering on the horizon. They were still some distance away. The rain wouldn't fall for at least another half hour. I didn't bother fetching an umbrella, following the faint memories of my occasional visits to the Zhao residence before my blindness. I made my way toward the front hall. The Zhao residence wasn't large. Ahead of me was a moon gate. Passing through it led to the screen wall. Circling around the screen wall brought me to the front hall. Once in the front hall, I would see Zhao Yuanshan. My mind was already filled with words. Drafts prepared, just waiting to be spoken to him. However, after passing through the moon gate, what I saw was not the screen wall, but an unfamiliar garden. In the corner of the garden stood a rockery. Stacked and shaped, it looked very familiar. It was the very same one I had collided with earlier, knocking myself unconscious. My heart raced with shock. Beside the rockery stood a tightly shut, unguarded side gate. I stepped forward, pressed my ear against the gate, and heard faint cries of sugar-sweet drink vendors drifting from beyond. My thoughts churned violently. I spun around hastily and retreated along the courtyard wall. Passing my quarters, I didn't enter but skirted around them, continuing in the opposite direction. Along the way, flowers and plants vied for beauty, everywhere adorned with expensive Shoshan stones arranged in the style of a wealthy Jiangnan family. Maids, matrons, and servants in uniform attire gradually became more numerous. I walked and stopped, carefully avoiding them. After an unknown length of time, I finally arrived safely outside a courtyard gate. Here, ornate beams and painted rafters radiated opulence, hiding beneath the tree shadows. I peered through the gate crack and saw Zhao Yuanshan, who should have been attending a meeting in the front hall, dressed in brocade robes. He sat with that woman who bore my likeness, adorned in jewels and jade, playing with a little boy at his feet. The boy looked about 5 or 6 years old, his features carrying Zhao Yuanshan's refined handsomeness. I froze in place, unable to move. My lord, you already tested her. She discovered nothing that day. Have you been neglecting me and Chinner these past days because you blame me? Of course not. What nonsense are you imagining? An unexpected incident occurred that day. I've spent more time with her lately merely to avoid arousing her suspicions. My lord, with your exalted status now, she's but an orphaned girl. Why not simply divorce her? It would spare you such trouble. Silence. What do you know? Zhao Yuanshan's lawful wife can only be her. Qiming. I'll grant you wealth and honor. You may travel under the title of Marquise Lady, bear my children, and manage the household. But remember, that position belongs solely to her. My lord, do you not fear she might discover the truth someday? She drinks the medicine I personally brew every day. Her eyes will never recover. She trusts and depends on me so completely. As long as her eyes remain impaired, she will never uncover the truth. My lord, madam, rain is coming. Please come inside. Beads of rain as large as beans pelted my body. I looked up. That dark cloud, once distant on the horizon, had somehow settled directly overhead. It seemed poised to kill me, yet also to save me. My limbs finally regained feeling. I turned and retreated along the path I had come. Chaos reigned in my mind. Yet two things were crystal clear to me now. First, my husband was no lowly deputy general, but the powerful Marquis of Jinan. Second, he betrayed our love, finding a woman who bore an uncanny resemblance to me, bearing children and living in blissful harmony. Indeed, judging by the age of their children, Zhao Yuanshan had betrayed me long before I became blind saving him. Truly, not worth it. 5 years ago, when I poisoned myself to save Zhao Yuanshan, I felt no regret. For 5 years, living in bitter darkness, day after day, I harbored no resentment. These regrets and resentments, hidden in places I could not see, gathered today and engulfed me entirely. Returning to that humble courtyard, I saw Lure walking back from the outhouse as raindrops the size of beans fell upon me. She looked up, meeting my tear-streaked, utterly disheveled gaze. Stumbling, I feigned panic and cried out, "Lure! Lure! Where are you?" Lure hurried forward to steady me, saying, "Madam, why have you come out into the courtyard?" I was right here. Through my tears, I gasped, "Lure, where were you just now?" I had a nightmare. I dreamt the bandits had come down the mountain again. The entire household knew my father and younger brother had perished by bandit blades. This nightmare had haunted me for years. Lure panicked, quickly soothing me back to my chamber. She fetched hot water for my bath and helped me change into clean garments. After changing, I sat by the window arranging my cloud-like hair when Zhao Yuanshan suddenly entered. Spotting the bathtub still in place, he frowned and asked, "Yun Xian, why are you bathing in the middle of the afternoon?" Having calmed down by then, I replied, "I had a nightmare during my afternoon nap and broke out in a cold sweat. I felt sticky and uncomfortable." Zhao Yuanshan glanced at Lure. Lure dared not admit she'd abandoned her post, leading me to get drenched outside. So she nodded silently in agreement with my explanation. The trace of suspicion in Zhao Yuanshan's eyes faded. "Yun Guan," he said, "the magistrate's office has heavy duties in the coming days, and heavy rains are forecast to continue. My superiors have ordered me to stay at the office these next few nights." He feigned reluctance. "Mid-Autumn Festival is approaching, and you've just been through such a fright. I truly can't bear to leave you home alone. I'd like to discuss something with you, resigning my post so I can stay by your side every day. What do you think?" I replied coldly, fine. Zhao Yuanshan froze. Only then did I smile. Why so quiet, my husband? I was just teasing you. You earned that deputy commander position through your valor on the battlefield. If you don't report for duty at the magistrate's office, are you planning to embroider at home to support me? Zhao Yuanshan's face darkened, yet he visibly relaxed. I thought you'd truly agree to my resignation. He sighed disappointedly. You know me, I've never craved power. All I desire is to be by Yunhuan's side. Every day. He was utterly confident in manipulating this blind woman. After sweet-talking me with a few flattering words, he hurried off to the magistrate's office. I understood perfectly well that he wasn't rushing off to handle official business. He was hurrying to be with his wife and children. When I trusted him before, I didn't see anything amiss, but now, looking back at his methods, they were riddled with holes. A phrase suddenly surfaced in my mind. If you are heartless, then I shall be too. It was what Mother taught me before she died. Father said Mother was the bravest woman he had ever known. When she first married, she married poorly. During the 3-day post-wedding visit to her new husband's home, he had an affair with her younger half-sister. Everyone urged Mother to bring the half-sister back as a concubine, but Mother insisted on a divorce. After the divorce, Mother's life was far from easy. She had almost severed ties with her own family. I say almost because while her father and brothers hated her, they couldn't bear to give up exploiting her. Later, she met Father, and together they escaped those who fed off her. In my heart, Mother is an extraordinarily formidable woman. For the past 20-odd years, I've always held her as my role model. I've learned from her how to love someone wholeheartedly and how to bravely make her own life choices. Now, like Mother, I choose to divorce this man who does not love me. Though I no longer have my father or younger brother to rely on, my maternal clan once received my father's protection and support. I've heard one of them passed the imperial examinations these past years and became a censor. They will surely aid me. Zhao Yuanshan may hold the title of Marquis, but he comes from no distinguished lineage and lacks deep roots. With a censor supporting me, divorcing him will pose no difficulty. My eyesight has now fully recovered. And before my marriage, I learned the skills of business from my father. Even without Zhao Yuanshan, I remained Qin Yunhuan. After making my decision, I began to plan. 3 days later marked the anniversary of my father and younger brother's passing. Every year at this time, I would visit their graves to pay my respects. This was my only opportunity to leave the house, and also my chance to contact my maternal relatives. I made all preparations, and soon the day arrived. That day, the rain fell steadily and long. Swayer hadn't returned yet, so Lure accompanied me. On rainy days, incense, paper money, and joss sticks couldn't be lit at the gravesite, so we substituted them with paper banners. The coachman and carriage waited for us on the main road. Lure held an umbrella and supported me as we quickly reached my father and younger brother's graves. After placing the offerings, I planted the paper banners while silently praying for my father and younger brother to watch over me and grant me smooth sailing. After the memorial rites, Lure supported me on the way back. I crouched down, pretending to pick up my shoes, and instead picked up a stone. I stood motionless. Lure instinctively turned to look at me. I slammed the stone against her forehead. Bright red blood gushed out. Lure's eyes widened in shock before she collapsed to the ground. I dragged her behind Father's tombstone and concealed her body with pine and cypress branches. Then, lifting my skirt, I ran frantically toward the direction etched in my memory. I thank Zhao Yuanshan for underestimating this blind man. Had he stationed even one more guard near me, my plan today would never have succeeded. Second Uncle Shinjichuan was Father's own younger brother. Back then, he gambled away everything, even pawning his wife and children. It was Father who emptied his savings to save their family. And it was Father who gave him one of his own shops to sustain them. My eldest cousin, Shin Fangzhou, was Uncle Shin's eldest son, a voracious reader. Father funded his schooling, placing him under the tutelage of the academy's headmaster. Father also paid off classmates who looked down on him, ensuring Fangzhou could study without distraction. 2 years ago, word came that my eldest cousin had passed the imperial examinations. The daughter of the imperial censor had selected him as her husband through the matchmaking system. With the censor's influence, he secured a position in the capital. becoming a censor who fought battles in the court with his words. For father's sake. My second uncle and eldest cousin would surely help me. Soon we arrived at the destination. But what met my eyes was not the familiar old mansion, but a magnificent courtyard. Above the gate, flanked by 2 stone lions, hung a plaque bearing the bold characters, Shen Residence. Had Shen Fangzhou's year in office truly brought such grandeur to the Shen household? A thought struck me. Instead of approaching the main gate, I turned into the back alley and headed for the rear entrance. A distinguished guest has arrived. As I drew near, a figure appeared at the back door. It was Consort Chen. I knew little of Consort Chen personally, only that she was a woman of considerable influence. After Aunt Zhou passed away 7 years ago, second uncle never remarried. Instead, he elevated Chen Concubine to the position of principal consort. Since then, Chen Concubine had been managing the affairs of second uncle's inner quarters. She called me honored guest. I immediately understood she had mistaken me for that woman named Qiming. But why was she so familiar with Qiming? Steeling myself, I pretended to be Qiming and approached Consort Chen. She flatteringly invited me through the back gate, steering clear of servants until we reached her quarters. My attire wasn't as lavish as Qiming's, which naturally puzzled her. But my eyes were bright and saw everything clearly. So she stopped doubting my identity. Madame Chen was a few years older than me. I had assumed she was a steady, meticulous, and calculating person. But after a few exchanges, I realized I couldn't have been more wrong. The woman before me spoke without depth, boisterous and unrestrained. Her flattery and jealousy toward Qiming were written plainly across her face. Though she restrained her manner somewhat, an unmistakable wildness lingered. The words that flowed from her mouth were both unbearably vulgar and utterly audacious. I quickly concluded that Chen Ai possessed no guile whatsoever. Her ability to manipulate second uncle relied entirely on Qiming's guidance. I began to draw information from her with growing confidence. An hour later, she escorted me out through the back door. From her, I obtained every piece of information I sought. Qi Meng had no surname, she was simply known as Qi Meng. Like Chen, she was a courtesan from Honglu Street. Originally named Chen Wan, the name Qi Meng had been given to her by Zhao Yuanshan. Zhao Yuanshan had known Qiming long before enlisting in the army. Since Qiming refused to be a concubine to an ordinary man, he used the excuse of protecting me to earn military merit on the battlefield. After returning to the capital from the battlefield, Zhao Yuanshan became highly sought after. His future looked bright, and taking a secret courtesan as a concubine at this point would become a stain on his reputation. He wasn't the only deputy general serving the third prince. If he became tainted, someone else would be promoted in his place. Unwilling to relinquish either his power or Qiming, Zhao Yuanshan seized the opportunity when the Prince of Luo, frustrated by his failed attempts to win Zhao Yuanshan's allegiance, lashed out in anger. Zhao Yuanshan deliberately played along, scheming to make me blind in the act of saving him. My poisoning was not severe. The imperial physician administered an antidote, and with another year or so of medication, my sight would have returned. Fearing that once restored, I would learn of Qiming's existence and, with my fiery temper, demand a divorce. Zhao Yuanshan orchestrated an ambush where bandits killed my father and younger brother. Then, colluding with my second uncle Shinjichuan, he secretly seized the estate my father had left behind, using the promise of securing an official post for Shen Fangzhou as leverage. By that time, the third prince had ascended the throne. With the new emperor's favor and the steady stream of silver from my father's estate paving his way, Zhao Yuanshan's future burned bright as oil over a blazing fire. Qi Meng was a master manipulator. As Zhao Yuanshan's wife, she established charity halls to win public favor, cultivated connections with noble ladies, and secured the favor of influential figures for him. Zhao Yuanshan could no longer bear to keep Qi Meng as a mere concubine. He replaced the medicine meant to restore my sight, plotting to blind me for life so Qiming could forever be known as the Marquise. And foolish as I was, I sank into the false love he wove, becoming a complete fool. He didn't just betray me. He chewed me and my loved ones to bits, scraping our bones clean, devouring us until nothing remained. As for Qiming, she was clever. Early on, she schemed to have Chen Honglian, a fellow prostitute under the same madam, seduce Shen Jichuan and enter the Shen household. She aimed to rise as the legitimate wife, originally planning to use Chen's connection to seduce my younger brother. But after Chen entered the Shen family, she discovered Qiming bore a striking resemblance to me. My brother would never marry someone who looked like his own sister. Only then did Qiming and Auntie Chen shift their focus to Zhao Yuanshan. At that time, my father and second uncle hadn't yet divided the family estate. With Auntie Chen as an insider in Qiming's face, made to look exactly like mine through astonishing makeup techniques, she swiftly won Zhao Yuanshan's affection. In return, Qiming secretly met with Auntie Chen once or twice each month, personally instructing her on managing the household and keeping Shen Jichuan. The path of divorcing Zhao Yuanshan was no longer viable. Neither Zhao Yuanshan, nor Qiming, nor the Shen family would ever allow me to leave the Jinan Marquis residence alive. If that was the case, then no one would have it easy. My only bargaining chip was a face identical to Qiming's after her makeup. I wasn't worried about today's meeting with Auntie Chen as Qiming being exposed. Auntie Chen envied Qiming, feared Qiming, and at the same time, harbored a subtle dislike for her that even she hadn't noticed. Having studied business principles with father since childhood, I excel at conversation. When meeting Lady Chen, I guided every word she spoke, though I appeared talkative. Upon reflection, my words were utterly ordinary, not a single sentence worth revisiting in their next meeting. All that matters is Qiming's next visit to the Shen residence doesn't coincide too closely with today. That will ensure absolute safety. That won't be hard. I'll make sure she never gets another chance to go to the Shen residence. Hurrying back to my father and younger brother's graves, Lure still lay where I'd left her. Though her pulse was strong, she'd likely wake soon. I tucked a box of osmanthus cakes into Lure's robe, then walked toward a nearby cave and slipped inside. Then I disheveled my hair and tore several strips from my skirt, tossing them at the cave entrance. After that, I waited calmly. 2 or 3 hours later, voices calling my name echoed outside. "Master, this seems to belong to the lady," a guard shouted. Chaotic footsteps followed. Zhao Yuanshan, his face ashen, burrowed into the cave. Who is it?" I clung fearfully to the cave wall, my voice breaking into a shrill scream. Yun Huan. It's me, Yuanshan." Zhao Yuanshan spoke as he approached. I froze, then threw myself forward in tears. Seeing me lunge in the wrong direction, Zhao Yuanshan swiftly caught me in his arms. "Yuanshan." I was so scared. I thought they were back. They? Who are they? What happened? Why are you alone in this cave? Zhao Yuanshan probed calmly. "I don't know who they are." I sobbed. I was just setting up the paper banners for father, asking Lure to help. But Lure, who was right behind me, vanished. Lure, a living person, was silently killed. In all my years, I've only seen such skill once before. 5 years ago. I heard them snickering at me. Terrified, I stumbled and ran. They chased me for a while, then stopped. I don't know if they kept following me, wanting to play cat and mouse. Yuanshan. I was terrified. Zhao Yuanshan froze. When Lure woke up and found me gone, she naturally returned to the home mansion to report it. She told them I had knocked her unconscious and then vanished. Upon hearing her account, Zhao Yuanshan and Qiming immediately grew suspicious of me. On his way to find me, he must have rehearsed countless scenarios in his mind, how I would defend myself when confronted. He must have assumed I'd confront Luer head-on, pinning the blame on her to clear myself. My reaction caught him off guard. Zhao Yuanshan asked in a deep voice, "How can you be certain Luer is dead?" I sobbed. Luer was a house-born servant, bound to the Zhao family by contract. If she weren't dead, why would she abandon me like this? Yuanshan, I'm running a fever. If you hadn't come, even if those people hadn't found me, I would have died here today. Zhao Yuanshan suppressed his doubts and picked me up horizontally. Back to the mansion first. Upon returning to the Marquis's residence, Swayer had already been summoned back from her brother's house. She prepared hot water to help me wash and dress. While she wasn't looking, I flicked the grass seed hidden under my fingernail into the teapot on the table. Then, feigning drowsiness, I asked Swayer, "Is anyone left at Luer's home?" She followed me out and met with misfortune. Surely she deserves some compensation. Swayer replied in a strange tone, "Madam, Luer is perfectly fine at home." She's perfectly fine at home? Impossible. I pressed further, but Swayer refused to say anything more. After bathing and changing, Swayer helped me lie down on the bed. The physician entered to examine me. "Madam has caught a chill. It's nothing serious. A few doses of medicine will cure it," he said. After I finished the medicine, Zhao Yuanshan had Luer brought to my room. I knew he intended to pit me against Luer. The moment he noticed something amiss with me, I would either truly die or become a living corpse confined to this room forever. Luer's gaze was filled with bitter resentment. "You didn't expect me to still be alive, did you, madam? As long as you're alive, that's all that matters. That's all that matters," I said, tears streaming down my face. "Swayer told me you hadn't died, but I thought she was just comforting me. Hearing you speak now, knowing you're truly alive, I feel at ease." "How could the madam feel at ease?" Luer sneered. "I was knocked unconscious by her own hand. Didn't she wish I'd died out there?" Zhao Yuanshan watched me with a scrutinizing gaze. I was stunned. "Luer, why would you say such things? What good would your death do me? Besides, I'm blind. You have eyes." "How could I possibly know you were facing away from me to strike?" Luer fell silent. Her wound was on her forehead, meaning she faced me when I struck her unconscious. But as I said, I'm blind. I couldn't see her, yet she could see me. I swung a large stone directly at her. There's no reason she couldn't have seen it, and if she saw it, there's no reason she couldn't have dodged it. Zhao Yuanshan's voice turned cold. "You wretched maid. Having caused trouble, you now stage a false accusation against the mistress?" "I'm not framing the mistress. She really knocked me unconscious," Luer shouted. "Then explain how I could possibly have the strength to knock you out." "Luer, admit your mistake, and I won't pursue this today. But if you insist on framing me, I'll have no choice but to turn you over to the authorities." My words came out urgent. Yet my fierce tone masked inner weakness. No sooner had the words left my mouth than I choked on my own saliva, coughing violently. Zhao Yuanshan picked up the cup from the table, poured some cold tea, and handed it to me. Swayer took the cup and fed me the tea. As I steadied my chest, I discreetly avoided the others and glanced at Luer. Luer met my gaze and instantly understood. Suppressing her excitement, she declared loudly, "If madam couldn't see, she wouldn't have been able to knock me unconscious from the front, but madam can see. Madam must have regained her sight, which is why she caught me off guard and struck me unconscious." As for why she knocked me out, well, that's a question for madam herself. My mouth open, but no words came out to defend myself. Luer smirked triumphantly. "Madam, have you run out of words?" I opened my mouth again, yet still no sound came out. Zhao Yuanshan glared at me fiercely. "Yunhuan, truly you have no explanation?" I pounded the bed frame with all my strength, two clear streams of tears streaming down my face. My mouth kept opening and closing, yet not a single word came out. Zhao Yuanshan finally sensed something was amiss. He bellowed to the servant outside the door, "Quickly, fetch Dr. Lin. The mistress has lost her voice." Luer was escorted away. The doctor hadn't gone far and soon returned. Zhao Yuanshan instructed, "Examine her throat." Then, recalling Luer's accusation, he added, "And examine her eyes." After taking her pulse, Dr. Lin reported, Master. The mistress's eyes remain unchanged, no improvement. Her throat, however, shows signs of poisoning. The toxin is extremely potent. Without prompt antidote, her life is in grave danger. May I ask what she consumed or used before this episode? Zhao Yuanshan remained silent. Swayer replied. Madam hadn't eaten anything since returning home today. She only started coughing uncontrollably after choking on saliva. Master poured her a cup of cold tea. Bring that cold tea here immediately. Then, Dr. Lin discovered castor seeds in the cold tea. This is deadly stuff. Zhao Yuanshan urgently asked. Is there still hope for my wife? Knowing the poison gives us an 80% chance. Dr. Lin declared, swiftly opening his medicine chest and pulling out paper and brush to write the prescription. I exhaled in relief, letting myself faint. Today's plan had an element of gamble. Though I was the master and Lure the servant, Zhao Yuanshan harbored guilt. When we confronted him, he naturally trusted Lure more. Talking more would only lead to mistakes. If I confronted Lure as he suggested, I'd eventually slip up. Though I know nothing of medicine, I recognize a few poisons. I deliberately brought castor beans, which cause loss of voice, back to the mansion. My plan was to become mute and avoid further confrontation with Lure. Zhao Yuanshan would certainly have a doctor examine me. I also deliberately reminded Lure about my eyes. To win the argument, Lure loudly declared my eyesight had fully recovered. Naturally, Zhao Yuanshan would have the physician examine my eyes closely. Long before Zhao Yuanshan found my hiding place in the cave, I had secretly applied the juice of a wild fern to my eyes. It would cause temporary blindness. This wild fern isn't truly poisonous. The physician, unaware I'd come into contact with it, wouldn't be able to detect anything. Dr. Lin was Zhao Yuanshan's man. Zhao Yuanshan trusted his word. By now, Zhao Yuanshan fully believed my story. When I awoke again, my throat felt like it had been slashed with a knife. But at least I could speak. The effect of the wild fern juice in my eyes hadn't fully worn off yet. I could only make out people's outlines. But that was enough. Zhao Yuanshan spoke softly, filled with remorse, as he comforted me. That wretched Lure, how utterly audacious. She's always been greedy. Seeing you paying respects to your father-in-law, knowing you'd be consumed by grief for a while, she left you alone and snuck off to buy osmanthus cakes. When she returned with the cakes and found you gone, fearing my punishment, she falsely claimed you'd knocked her unconscious to frame you. The osmanthus cakes still hidden in her bosom left her no room for denial. As for the thieves you mentioned, they were likely just street ruffians passing by who saw you alone and deliberately made noise to frighten you. My voice hoarse, I wept as I asked, My lord, how shall you deal with Lure? Naturally, by beating her to death, Zhao Yuanshan replied. I fell silent. That night, Zhao Yuanshan stayed by my side all night. The next day, after Zhao Yuanshan left, Swayer attended to my ablutions. Swayer and Lure had entered the mansion around the same time, and their bond was stronger than that of others. My voice had recovered 80%, and my eyes were fully healed. I asked Swayer, now that Lure is dead, do you resent me? Lure brought this upon herself. It's not the mistress's fault. I'm utterly loyal to you. How could I blame you for a traitorous servant? Swayer replied. I sighed and said, if she had merely been greedy and falsely accused me, it could have been resolved once the truth came out. But as you said, she was a traitorous servant. Why should I beg my husband to spare her wretched life? Madam? Swayer looked startled and confused. I asked, is that mistress truly more favored by my husband than I? Swayer's face paled. Mistress? What mistress? I don't understand. My expression turned cold. You needn't hide it from me. I already know my husband despises me for being blind and keeps another mistress in the mansion. Yesterday, Lure asked to buy osmanthus cakes. I was busy paying respects to father, so I refused her and even scolded her a bit. She couldn't hold back and spoke harshly. She said that as a blind woman. I was so cruel, no wonder Master's heart had turned to that other lady. Shocked and furious, I immediately cursed her and said I'd have her matched with a servant boy when we returned to the manor. That's when she grew bold with malice and left me alone at the grave. Her slander wasn't born of mere gluttony, she truly intended to harm me. Swayer, you claim unwavering loyalty, unlike Lure. Then tell me, what exactly is the story with this mistress? Swayer is far more calculating than Lure. No sooner had I spoken than she knelt with a thud. Mistress. Don't listen to Lure's nonsense. What this mistress or that mistress? My master has only you as his wife. Truth be told. Besides you, my master did take another concubine into the household. It was because of his duties at the magistrate's office, many social obligations within the inner quarters were unavoidable. After your eyes were injured, madam, you refused to go out. Master had no choice but to bring in a wretched girl to handle matters for him externally. As for where master's heart truly lies, madam, can you not see? When you suffered yesterday, master knelt in the courtyard begging heaven to transfer your pain onto him. How many men in this world could do such a thing? Yesterday, in my days, I truly heard Zhao Yuanshan cry out to heaven, but I know in my heart it was nothing but a performance. He framed me, forcing me to confront Lure, then personally served me the poisoned cold tea. Fearing a rift in our bond, he staged this charade to appease me. When it comes to putting on a show, any man in this world could do the same. Really? Tears welled up in the corners of my eyes. I am blind, and I have yet to conceive. I know myself well. What right do I have to monopolize my husband? I have long considered taking a concubine for my husband, but he has been so good to me that I always thought I could be a little more selfish, to hold on to him for just a few more days. I know my husband hid this from me to spare my sorrow. Yet that wretched maid Lure used this to humiliate me, leaving me utterly mortified. Swayer, tell me, what sort of woman is my husband's concubine? Seeing I believed her, delight flashed in Swayer's eyes. I offered her a shaky hand to help her up. Madam, you understand matters so well. No wonder my husband cherishes you so deeply. Tell me about her. I pressed cautiously. What does she look like? Is she beautiful? Swayer was the only one attending me. She couldn't abandon me to run out and warn Zhao Yuanshan and Qiming. She prided herself on her cleverness, convinced that deceiving a blind woman with low self-esteem would be effortless. So she began telling me about Qiming, mixing truth with lies. But I'm quite skilled at drawing information from others. Within an hour, I'd extracted from Swayer everything she knew about Qiming. Though her account was half-truth, half-lie, it was corroborated by what Aunt Chin had previously told me, allowing me to effortlessly extract the useful details. I now had a clear picture of Qiming's temperament, preferences, the different faces she showed to various people, her usual attire, and the servants she trusted. To replace me, she had meticulously mimicked many aspects of who I was before my blindness. Replacing her would be no difficult task. Seeing I couldn't coax anything more from Swayer, I deliberately sighed in relief and smiled at her. You weren't lying after all, I said. Just a mere concubine, no threat at all. Swayer flashed a look of contempt. She likely found my words overly self-assured. Yet her lips offered flattery. The bond between madam and master runs deep from childhood. How could anyone else compare? Citing fatigue, I dismissed her. Swayer lingered at the door for a long while. Hearing silence within, she surmised I'd retired for a nap. Only then did she summon someone to watch over me while she hurried away. I knew she'd gone to complain to Qiming. Earlier, during our conversation, I'd noticed her deliberately siding with Qiming. She must be Qiming's woman. Come evening, Zhao Yuanshan arrived. Seeing me, he seemed uneasy, his voice tinged with guilt as he called my name. Yun Huan. I'm sorry. He tentatively reached for my hand. Feeling his approach, I shifted away. Yun Huan. I had no choice, he said, without family backing or wealth to pave my way. If I cut ties with the inner quarters and my colleagues' families, a lowly deputy commander like me would be bullied to death. Even now, he hadn't considered being honest with me. He only thought to spin more lies, building on what I already knew to deceive me further. That young man who once protected me had long since rotted away. Yuan Shan. I don't blame you. If blame is due, it's for my own weak eyes. After saying this, I burst into tears. Zhao Yuanshan visibly relaxed. To him, my profound love meant this concubine affair would pass lightly. He coaxed me softly, and I gradually nestled into his embrace. Finally, I wiped away my tears and said with a smile, since she's already entered the household, protocol must be upheld. From now on, let concubine Qi come to pay her respects to me daily. Rest assured, my lord, I will get along well with her. You can serve your duties outside without any worries. Zhao Yuanshan was silent for a moment, then nodded, very well. I knew him well, he always preferred avoiding trouble. Requiring Qi Meng to pay respects was the least he could do to appease me. And he wouldn't refuse. Sure enough, Qi Meng came to pay her respects over the next few days. During her first visit, I noticed her obvious reluctance and frowned. Did your husband buy you many jewels and ornaments? I seemed to hear the tinkling of jade pendants. Of course not. My salary is meager, how could I afford jewelry? Even if I could, it should belong to the mistress. Qi Ming replied through gritted teeth. During her second visit, every hairpin and ornament had been removed from her head. I grasped her hand, then felt her sleeve and frowned again. This fabric you're wearing, it seems to be the most expensive heavenly silk. My lady has mistaken it. It's merely earth silk imitating heavenly silk. Today is the minister's wife's birthday, and I must present a gift shortly. Hence the more costly attire. This earth silk gown is the only garment I possess that can present a respectable appearance for my lord. By the third time he came to pay respects, she had changed into ordinary garments, neither new nor worn, identical to mine. I recognized it instantly, it was my dress. Of course, as the Marquise's wife, Qi Ming wore gold and jade. She wouldn't wear coarse hemp or simple skirts. Since she refused to wear servants' clothes, she had no choice but to wear mine. This time, I didn't criticize her attire. Instead, I poured a cup of hot tea over my own hand in front of her. It hurts. It hurts. Aunt Qi, why are you harming me? I cried out loudly. When Zhao Yuanshan returned that evening and saw the red mark on my hand, he immediately reprimanded Qi Meng. Out of Zhao Yuanshan's sight, Qi Meng's gaze toward me was filled with murderous intent. 2 days later, on the 25th of the 8th month, when Qi Meng came to pay her respects, she took advantage of my blindness to slip a pill into Swear's hand right under my nose. I quietly replaced the pill. On the 27th of August, envoys from Beijing arrived for audience. The eldest princess, the emperor's own sister, had married into Beijing last year. With relations between the two nations currently harmonious, His Majesty entrusted Zhao Yuanshan with hosting the Beijing envoys to honor his sister. As the delegation included female members, Zhao Yuanshan brought Qi Meng along. Of course, in my presence, Zhao Yuanshan claimed he was attending a prince's birthday banquet to serve as an attendant, while Qi Meng was sent to flatter and curry favor. I sighed. Husband, taking your concubine out like this, people will surely mock you. If only my eyes weren't so poor. Zhao Yuanshan replied. Yun Huan, don't speak like that. I've never blamed you. The very next day after Zhao Yuanshan and Qiming departed, I secretly slipped into Qiming's quarters and stole her garments. Then I went first to the south study, took both Zhao Yuanshan and Qiming's son with me, and fled the Marquis' residence. Though the Marquis' residence held secrets, 5 years of peace had lulled Zhao Yuanshan into complacency, and security was lax. They were certain a blind fool like me, completely deceived, could never escape the Marquis' estate. The servants attending Zhao Qin, including Zhao Qin himself, mistook me for Qiming based on my attire. Thus, though perilous, the plan went smoothly. After leaving the estate, I took Zhao Qin to Jingyu Mountain. The path up Jingyu Mountain was passable but narrow, impassable for large groups. At the summit stood an abandoned nunnery, offering expansive views. Along the way, I deliberately stumbled over a dozen times. Once inside the nunnery, I picked up a stone and struck Zhao Qin from behind, knocking him unconscious. Then I began making preparations. The Marquis servants would soon discover my escape and immediately relay the news to Zhao Yuanshan and Qiming. Zhao Yuanshan, hosting the northern Jia envoys, couldn't leave the embassy. He'd have to send Qiming back to handle the trouble. I left a letter at the Marquis' residence, demanding Qiming come alone to the Jingyu Mountain nunnery. Otherwise, I'd kill her son. For her son's sake, she had no choice but to come. Sure enough, 3 hours later, Qiming appeared at the nunnery gate, her face etched with panic. I didn't believe she came alone, but I bet she wouldn't dare let her guards get too close. Perhaps they were hiding in the dense woods halfway up the mountain, or perhaps they'd circled around to ambush her at the nunnery's back gate. But for my plan, this was more than enough, because I had no intention of exchanging words with her. The moment Qiming stepped through the convent gates, before the words "Where is my Qin'er" could leave her lips, my homemade crossbow bolt pierced her heart. With her death, I became her. Inside the convent's outer wall, I had piled a ring of dry grass. The instant Qiming collapsed, I set it ablaze. It was as if the rage that had erupted within me after overhearing their conversation in the rain that day was finally unleashed in this moment. Deeply satisfying. I swiftly stripped Qiming of her clothes, dressed her in my old garments, and dragged her into the meditation chamber. All the remaining lamp oil I'd collected from the convent was gathered in that room. I lit the oil lamps and watched with my own eyes as the flames consumed Qiming's body. Only when I heard the footsteps of the guards outside did I hoist Zhao Qin onto my back, deliberately waiting until the burning beams collapsed onto us. Zhao Qin lost the use of one leg, becoming permanently crippled. I broke my arm, but it could be set. The moment we returned to the Jinan Marquis' residence, I awoke. I threw myself beside Zhao Qin, wailing and urging the servants to fetch a physician. After tending to my own wounds and changing my clothes, I disregarded the pain in my arm and kept vigil in Zhao Chen's room. I cared for him without rest, often weeping until dawn. To anyone watching, I must have seemed like Zhao Chen's devoted mother. 3 days later, Zhao Chen finally awoke. Clutching my arm, he called me mother and recounted how that day, a wicked woman who looked exactly like me had deceived him into going up the mountain. I held him close, soothing him with reassurances that mother was here and everything would be all right. Yet, those who knew me best could not be deceived. Within the entire Jinan Marquis' residence, the person who understood me most intimately, aside from Zhao Yuanshan, was Swayer. That night, I personally went to the kitchen to prepare Zhao Chen's medicine. Swayer appeared behind me like a ghost. "Madam," she called. I ignored her. She spoke again. "Madam, I see it now. You are not concubine Qi. Where has concubine Qi gone? Are you not afraid the Marquis will blame you for this?" My gaze fell on the stone in the corner. "Close the door. We need to talk properly," I said, my voice trembling. Then, as Swayer turned away, I swiftly picked up the stone and smashed it into the back of her head. Since regaining my sight, I've struck many heads. Every time I succeeded, because every time, I knew I had no way out. I dragged Swayer to the small storage room in the courtyard where I used to live and locked her inside. She was someone who had betrayed me. I never expected her to talk to me properly. She woke up quickly, glaring at me. She gritted her teeth and said, "Xin Yunxian, don't you fear the Marquis's retribution for doing this?" "What's there to fear?" I sneered. "When one wrongs another, they must be prepared for retribution. Am I not exacting mine right now?" Then I swiftly covered Swayer's mouth, checked the rope's tightness, and turned to leave. 3 days later, I met Zhao Yuanshan again. The northern Jia envoys had departed. He'd fulfilled his mission and could finally return home. I threw myself into his arms, sobbing, "Your lordship, Chinner's leg will never heal. It's all that vile woman's fault. She tried to drag us both to our deaths. I risked everything to escape with Chinner. Why must I be the one crippled?" My tears flowed uncontrollably. Zhao Yuanshan's face turned ashen. "Is she dead?" I pushed Zhao Yuanshan away, shrieking, "Of course she's dead. The situation was so perilous. Did you expect me to abandon Chinner to save her? The one who started this? She was a bitch. She wanted to drag us both down with her. She deserved to die." Zhao Yuanshan summoned the trusted guards who had accompanied Qiming that day. Their accounts matched mine perfectly. I cried out, "Don't you know who I am, Your Highness?" Chinner was unconscious that day. My heart was shattered as a mother. How could I have spared the energy to kill Xin Yunhuan? "Qiming, how could I ever think of you that way?" Zhao Yuanshan gripped my shoulders tightly, staring at me as he said, word by word, "From now on, you are Xin Yunhuan. You are the only Xin Yunhuan in this world." I wept and laughed at the same time. I knew Zhao Yuanshan too well. He wanted it all, yet remained terrifyingly cold-blooded. When I was obedient and easily deceived, he truly cherished me. But once I resisted his taming, even if I hadn't perished in the nunnery, he would likely have sent me to meet the king of hell. Qi Meng had become the only Xin Yunhuan in this world. Zhao Yuanshan naturally wouldn't leave any witnesses to sow future trouble. Few in the home mansion had interacted with both me and Qi Meng. In the days that followed, they vanished one by one. Some were dealt with by Zhao Yuanshan, others I handled personally. Swayer was one I dealt with myself. My primary focus remained caring for Zhaochen. Zhao Yuanshan knew me and Qiming too well. I feared prolonged contact would allow him to see through me. Only after most of the informed parties in the mansion were dealt with did I throw myself back into Zhao Yuanshan's embrace. I told him that besides the servants who had seen both me and Qiming, Uncle Heir's family also knew the truth. Thus, Zhao Yuanshan began to target Shinjichuan. Shinjichuan wasn't someone to be trifled with either. He was now wealthy and had a son serving as a censor. A man who'd once gambled knew no restraint when striking back. Zhao Yuanshan took a bite out of him. But Shinjichuan and Shinfangzhou were ultimately no match for Zhao Yuanshan. Half a month later, Shinfangzhou was dismissed from office. The Shin family, in low spirits, went out for a spring outing, only to be slaughtered by bandits. It was Zhao Yuanshan's doing. He finally relaxed, returning home early to spend time with me and Zhaochen. But as he watched my back while I tended to Zhaochen, his voice suddenly darkened. "What about that mole on the back of your neck?" He suddenly realized, "You're not Qiming. You're Xin Yunxian." "Of course I'm Xin Yunhuan." I handed the sleeping Zhaochen to a maid to carry out, smiling at Zhao Yuanshan. "Husband, you said it yourself, I am the only Xin Yunhuan in this world." His face turned ashen. "When did your eyes heal?" "After the fire in the mansion. My eyes were restored." "So soon." "Xin Yunxian, I truly underestimated you. Even so, haven't you exposed me now? His face darkened as he approached me, his eyes filled with murderous intent. I took 2 steps back, tears welling up in my eyes as I pouted. Husband, I look like Qiming anyway. What difference does it make if I die or Qiming dies? Isn't it still Xin Yunxian staying by your side? Why dwell on it? Zhao Yuanshan sneered coldly, I won't keep a venomous snake by my side. Xin Yunxian, heaven has eyes. Today, I finally have the chance to kill you, this poisonous woman, and set everything right. Who is the venomous snake? And what is this right? I lifted my head to look at him. My eyes filled with mocking laughter, no tears at all. My lips twisted into a sneer. Too bad it's all too late. What? Zhao Yuanshan stared blankly. Then his hands clutched his chest. His face flushed crimson before turning ashen, as if seized by sudden agony. His body convulsed violently. Soon, a mouthful of bright red blood spurted forth, and his gaze grew increasingly unfocused. What's happening? He groaned. Nothing. Just that you're about to die. As for why, I won't tell you. I want you to die in confusion. Zhao Yuanshan. Even after your death, I remain the Marquis's wife. Your crippled son with Qiming is now mine. You and Qiming will burn in hell, finding no rest. Blood gushed from his mouth in great streams. He collapsed to the ground, soon falling silent. I wailed loudly, sounding every bit the heartbroken widow. Help! The Marquis is having a heart attack. He's dying! The pills Qiming had given to swear that day, I had swapped them out. On the day Zhao Yuanshan returned to the Marquis's residence, I secretly mixed them into his wine and made him drink it. When I deliberately injured myself to make Zhao Yuanshan blame Qiming, it was not only to provoke her but also to warn her, if she harmed me, Zhao Yuanshan would be displeased. Unless she could find a way to kill me without leaving a trace. When I coaxed information from Auntie Chen, I learned Qiming possessed a poison. Once ingested, even the most skilled physician couldn't detect it. Half a month later, the poison would take effect. When the coroner examined the body, it would only show signs of a heart attack. That's how my second aunt died, making way for Auntie Chen. I had Qiming come to pay her respects. Sure enough, she brought this poison to deal with me. It was my weapon against Zhao Yuanshan. I never intended to let him live. Opening my eyes, I found myself in a simple, comfortable room. Zhao Yuanshan was dead. And no one questioned the cause of his death. Nor did anyone question my identity. I was Xin Yunhuan, the genuine Xin Yunhuan. The Marquis of Jinan passed away prematurely from angina brought on by exhaustion. The court sought to compensate the Zhao family, but their sole male heir was crippled. Thus, I was granted the title of first-rank noble consort. I entered the palace to express my gratitude. Before the emperor, whose face bore deep regret, I knelt and wept pitifully. Your Majesty, this humble wife and the Marquis of Jinan were deeply devoted to one another. I cannot bear to see the Zhao family's legacy end with the Marquis. Yet my son suffers from a leg ailment and cannot serve the court. I humbly beg your Majesty to permit me to select an heir for the Marquis of Jinan, to carry on his line. Zhao Yuanshan had died at the height of the emperor's favor, and my request was both reasonable and heartfelt. Thus, without much deliberation, the emperor nodded, granted. The Zhao family had endured generations of single heirs, leaving their lineage thin. After a moment's thought, the emperor added, whether from the Zhao clan or the Shen clan, if you find a suitable candidate, you may submit a memorial. Yes, your Majesty. I accepted the task with joy. Though father had only uncle heir as a younger brother, he had many cousins, though none had settled in the capital. Among those relatives, there must be reliable ones. With time, I could surely find a suitable candidate. Even if no suitable candidate could be found among my Shin clan relatives, I could still adopt a child from the orphanage. When the time came, I could present the child as a distant relative of the Shin family, and the emperor would likely not object. As for Zhao Qin, I won't kill him, but I won't let him enjoy the privileges of the marquisate either. After leaving the palace, I became a noble widow. I reclaimed the estates my father and younger brother had built, bringing them back under my control. I possess great patience. I systematically replaced the old servants left behind by Zhao Yuanshan and Qiming, those in the marquis's residence, the shops, and the estates, dispersing them far and wide across the land. 5 years later, I found a suitable heir. He is not Zhao Yuanshan's heir, but mine, Shin Yunhuan's. He was a Shin family member and a good boy, though his abilities fell short of Zhao Yuanshan's in his prime. He possessed no malicious intent and was devoted and filial toward me. On the very day I petitioned for his title as heir, news of Zhao Yu's death reached me from the annex. Though I never raised him under my direct care, I never deliberately arranged for anyone to harm him either. He chose his own path. Barely over 10 years old, he climbed over the wall to roam the brothels with street thugs. In the snowy weather, the icy ground proved treacherous. He fell into a frozen crevasse and froze to death. Everything connected to Zhao Yuanshan in this world has now vanished completely. The end.